talking about the widow's tax trap. And that's what I call it. And the importance of planning ahead and why it matters. Now, with a tax advisor, let's dive deeper into taxes with someone who knows this inside and out, Lauren Dietz from Market Tax Services. Lauren, thanks for joining us. Tell us about what's going on here.
Yeah, you're exactly right to call it the widow's tax trap. And from a planning standpoint, it's one of the most predictable and preventable retirement tax shocks that we see.
So I teased a little bit in the first segment on really what is all entailed here, but let's talk about what happens when you lose a spouse. What changes in taxes happen here?
There's a lot of different things to consider when you do lose a spouse. You're going to have a different filing status, first of all, which is a bigger deal than I think people think about. It's going to cut your tax brackets basically in half.
That sounds like a good thing, but it's not because
It's
there's less dollars until you're hitting the higher tax rates faster.
right. So say, your income will probably lower a little bit, but overall, that same income that you were receiving, maybe you were in a 12% bracket. Well, a lot of times that's going to push a single person into that 22% bracket. And that's a big jump,
I mean,
10% extra in taxes.
most people don't realize this. They think, oh, my income has dropped. They don't adjust their withholdings, and it can be a surprise for them come tax time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. People, they don't think about that until maybe the end of the year, or a lot of times once they get to tax time. And then at that point, it's really, there's not much we can do about, I mean, there's really nothing we can do about it at that point besides try to help them plan for the future.
Well, and I've seen it. I've been doing this for 21 years. I've seen it happen many times. You're not thinking about money. You're thinking about your loved one. You're grieving. You're with your family, and all of a sudden the reality sets in, and now you're down one Social Security check. So your income's dropping, but most people don't really understand that. Oh well, but I need to probably increase my withholding because I won't be in a married filing joint tax bracket this year. I'll be in a single tax bracket, and those less dollars in those lower tax brackets. But then furthermore, when you lose that Social Security check, that's when I see people go take retirement withdrawals or the IRAs, the 401ks, which again, they're paying more in taxes
Yeah.
faster.
Yeah, it'll push them back into one of those higher brackets. And I mean, losing a social security check, that a lot of times is a big chunk of change in retirement for a single person or a couple. And I mean, it's not like your housing expenses are going to get cut in half along with that income.
The county doesn't call you up and say there's only one of you living there now. Just
Right.
pay half the property taxes.
Yeah.
The electric company doesn't call you up and say, you know what, just go ahead and pay half that electric bill. You hit the nail on the head. The expenses don't drop. Now, when you have those pre-tax retirement accounts, the IRAs, the 401ks, those accounts that people have never had the taxes paid on them, those required minimum distributions, you still have to have those.
Yeah, they still keep clicking away. A lot of times when a spouse passes, that IRA is then transferred over to the
Surviving
the
spouse.
surviving spouse. And if you're both already in that age bracket where you're required to take those minimum distributions, now you've got that's I mean, it's basically still the same amount of RMD to take, but it's just for one person, which again is another potential tax bomb that is going to affect people more than they realize.
I mean, throwing some numbers out here, I'm just doing in my head. If you have a $2 million IRA and that first year, the amount you have to take out is over $70,000,
Yeah.
$70,000 in a married tax bracket could still be in the 12%.
Right.
$70,000 is not going to be in the 12% tax bracket for a single filer. It's going to be in
No.
the 22.
And that's before you're even thinking about the Social Security that they're receiving, or possibly pensions or
Interest or anything.
interest, dividends, all of that. Yeah, that you're most likely you're going to be basically at a 22% starting point if you've got those kind of required minimum distributions.
Now, I know this is the widow's tax trap we're talking about, but bear with me. How does this impact Medicare? Because you're a tax person. Why am I asking you about Medicare costs?
Because even though I'm a tax person, we still do try to keep an eye out on those lovely IRMA charges, which is basically a nice addition to your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums that you get stuck paying if you make over a certain dollar amount each year. And it's got a 2-year look back window. A lot of people don't even realize it. And then it's 2 years down the road, they're like, oh my God, what's this? And it's expensive. It can get very expensive, and it's something that gets triggered by just a single dollar over that limit.
And then you're costing yourself extra for your Medicare premiums. And it's
Mhm.
almost like I call it a sneaky tax, but
Yeah.
whose responsibility is it to keep up on that? Is it the tax person? Is it the financial advisor to make sure they don't send you enough money? Or is it the Medicare person?
Well, I think if you're working with a full team, we can all kind of look out for those types of things for you.
But if they're not, it's the responsibility falls on their shoulders, the
Yeah.
retiree. So income tax brackets get cut in half. So then you owe more money faster on less income. Do capital gains brackets get cut in half?
Yeah, it also affects those capital gains brackets. So that 0% bracket, it gets a lot smaller, and you get closer to hitting those 15 and 20% brackets a lot faster. So if you're trying to sell out of things, or you've got long-term capital gains you're anticipating selling off or realizing, then yeah, it's going to affect you.
So when my grandfather passed away several years ago, before that he was shocked when grandma passed away several years before him that his charitable deductions were harder to use. Does that have an impact when you lose a spouse?
Yeah, that absolutely does have an impact. One thing that you can try to plan around when you are getting to those RMD ages is, if you are charitably inclined and you haven't really been able to itemize in the past, you can consider strategies like qualified charitable distributions to help lower your tax burden.
Now, in my tax class, I'll talk about the Roth conversions and I'll say the ideal time to do a Roth conversion is while you're married because you have more dollars in those lower tax brackets.
Right.
But when you lose that spouse, I'm not going to say tax planning is not worth it. That's not what I'm saying here. But certainly the time to maximize tax planning is while you're both alive and you have those larger dollars in those tax brackets.
Yeah, it's that sweet spot's kind of around those retirement years, those first few years of retirement where your income has decreased substantially, and you are both still married, and you've got this larger space available to be able to do some bigger conversions. It's not impossible to do Roth conversions after you've lost a spouse. It's just more likely that you're going to have a lot less dollars that you can convert without causing yourself a big tax headache.
Yeah, that's so true. And we didn't even get into the fact that the new senior bonus deduction.
Yeah.
You get 6,000 for
Hmm.
single, but if you're both over the age of 65, you get 12,000. That's something that drops off
That would
too.
that would drop off, yeah, after the year that your spouse passes. Now, that's not a forever thing that goes through 2028, but it is a nice little bonus that, I mean, this year we've seen a lot more seniors be able to utilize additional tax planning and be able to convert larger amounts of dollars because of that deduction.
All gets back to tax planning.
Yes, it sure does.